The Salem Witch Trials occurred in colonial Massachusetts about 20 miles north of Boston in the late 1600s. Most people who lived in Salem Village were very poor, while there also was a very wealthy portion in Salem town. It all started because mostly women and some men were accused of practicing witchcraft, which was considered to be the devil's work.
Established in 1626, the town of Salem, Massachusetts was a thriving farming and fishing community. The people in this colonial town lived a simple life of hard work and Puritan faith. But in 1692, religious fervor turns into fear. It all begins in the home of Salem's esteemed church leader, Samuel Parris.
The first afflictions happened in Reverend Parris's household. Parris's daughter Betty and his niece Abigail Williams began acting strange. They had convulsions.
These girls were under a malady which scared the hell out of a lot of the adults. The girls would contort into all sorts of contortions that just weren't normal. They would often run towards the fireplace as if to burn themselves up. In some cases, it's reported that bite marks occurred on their bodies, and they were really sick.
The family used home remedies. They called in doctors, physicians, and they prayed for them.
The girls' afflictions were so scary, were so true, that they didn't believe these were normal, these were natural. These had to be supernatural.
Finally, one of the doctors said they must be under an evil hand, which means a curse, witchcraft.
Samuel Parris accused the first 3 women of being involved with witchcraft. They were Tituba, the Parris' Caribbean slave, Sarah Good, a homeless beggar, and Sarah Osborne, an elderly, impoverished woman. Tituba explained how she saw a man who told her to serve him, even though she didn't want to. Osborne ended up dying in prison, and Good was executed because of these accusations. Many other situations like this occurred throughout this period of time.
When going to trial, there was a lot of evidence that was taken into account. They had to recite the Lord's Prayer. They looked at any marks on the individual's body. They looked at any extra evidence, and then their overall confession.
If the women confessed to being a witch, they were not executed, but if they denied these accusations, that's when they were killed.
This whole situation became so significant that when a doctor didn't know what was wrong with the person, they would just say they were a witch. Dr. William Griggs looked at the so-called witches and would determine how much of a witch they were and determine whether they had to go to trial or not.
After Governor William Phipps's wife was accused of witchcraft, he ordered the trials to come to an end, which they finally did.
Throughout the trials, over 200 people were accused of witchcraft. Over 20 people and 2 dogs were actually executed. Most of the people were hung, but one person was crushed to death by stones.
It is thought about now that maybe the fungus in ergot was found in rye, the most common grain grown in Salem. Wheat and some cereals could have caused these LSDs like hallucinations. Smallpox could have also attributed to the widespread fear of witches.